British kids' TV used to be a completely different world. Long before strict health and safety regulations, modern safeguarding and sanitised programming, TV executives routinely commissioned shows that would cause absolute outrage if it was aired today. Let's take a look at 6 classic British children's shows that could never be made. Grange Hill was unlike any other children's TV programme. It didn't try to wrap kids up in cotton wool. It showed school life exactly as millions of us actually experienced it. And that meant tackling bullying, racism and different social issues head on. Take the infamous bully, Gripper Stebson. For years he tormented poor Roland Browning because of his weight, constantly mocking him and stealing his dinner money. But the show went even further by portraying raw playground prejudice. In one storyline that completely stuns modern viewers revisiting the show, the writers included direct racial abuse and shocking slurs used between pupils. They weren't endorsing it, they were exposing the ugly reality of the era. But it's the kind of language that would never clear a modern script editor.
He keeps calling me names. What sort of names? Kind it sometimes helps to tell someone. Just the usual gollywog, chocolate, and he keeps doing chimpanzee noises. I can't stand him. He's horrible. Anyway, it's not your fault you're a nignog, is it? Anyway, it's not your fault you're a hunky, is it?
Add to that, we got Zammo Maguire's heroin addiction in 1986, which genuinely panics parents across the country. Today, Grange Hill is praised for its groundbreaking honesty, but its unfiltered realism would be heavily toned down today.
Go and check. Samo! You alright?
Imagine trying to pitch this to a TV executive today. A live Saturday morning show where presenters are attacked with custard pies, guests are drenched with buckets of water, and a masked character called the Phantom Flan Flinger spends half the time throwing cream straight into people's faces. That was Tiswas. It wasn't just organised chaos, it often looked completely out of control. While the BBC had the polite safe swap shop, ITV gave us pure, unadulterated madness. Parents constantly complained that their kids were copying the antics at home, flinging food, making an absolute mess and treating the living room like a giant game. Between modern health and safety issues, regulations on food waste and fears on young viewers imitating the chaos. A live show this wild would be dead on arrival today, but back then we absolutely loved every single minute of it.
Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Sorry, no, it was the Wild Bunch. Take your time, not to worry, plenty of time to catch up. Lovely contest so far.
Welcome, Watchers of Illusion, to the Castle of Confusion.
Knightmare wasn't just a standard kids game show. For the children playing it, it was basically a live-action horror film. Using early blue screen technology, a team of kids had to guide their blindfolded mate through dark, creepy dungeons filled with skeletons, giant spiders, executioners and terrifying monsters. And the stakes were incredibly high. The game operated on a tense, ticking, life force clock represented by a dissolving human face. One wrong move or one bad answer to a riddle and you were brutally chopped by a blade or dropped into a bottomless pit. Dungeon Master Treeguard would calmly turn to the camera and announce your quest. And effectively your life had ended forever. The atmosphere was dark, tense and genuinely frightening. While modern kids TV goes out of its way to avoid scaring younger viewers, Knightmare did the exact opposite. And that's why we still remember it so fondly.
Where am I? You're in a reasonably large room. Ahead of you on the wall there are 2 doors with portcullises in them.
Chitter, chatter, chitter.
On the surface, Sooty looked like a complete harmless, silent little yellow bear. But if you go back and watch the classic era with Matthew Corbett, the puppet was allowed to cause absolute mayhem. Poor Matthew was constantly blasted in the face with high-powered water pistols, whacked over the head with magic wands, caught in literal explosions, and left covered in thick paint. Nobody questioned it at the time because it was traditional British slapstick and pantomime comedy. However, modern children's TV guidelines are incredibly strict regarding physical aggression. Producers today are highly sensitive about showing characters repeatedly using physical violence against an adult for laughs. It was all good fun back then, but modern compliance teams would definitely tell Sooty to tone it down a little bit.
I do like Gary Glitter, don't you?
Worzel Gummidge was marketed as a whimsical family favourite. But ask anyone who watched it as a child in the late 70s or early 80s, and they will tell you the truth. It was an absolute nightmare. John Pertwee's performance as the walking talking scarecrow was brilliant, but visually terrifying. He regularly detached his own head, reached up and swapped it out for an alternative head hanging on the meat hook in his barn. And then there was Aunt Sally, played by Una Stubbs, with her cracked, lifeless porcelain makeup and deeply eerie frozen smile. For countless children across the UK, these characters were the stuff of nightmares. Modern kids' TV works hard to avoid unintentionally frightening young audiences, but Worzel Gummidge completely leaned into this bizarre, unsettling atmosphere, and honestly, that's why we still remember him so vividly. Back in the 70s and 80s, Jim Will Fix It was considered heartwarming, prime-time family viewing. Children wrote deeply personal letters to Jimmy Savile, sharing their biggest dreams in the hope that he would make them come true. Millions of families trusted him completely. Looking back now, the absolute trust is exactly what feels so shocking, following the horrific revelations about Jimmy Savile after his death. The programme became one of the clearest examples of just how drastically broadcasting safeguarding needed to change. Today, it's utterly impossible to imagine a single TV personality being given that unchecked level of direct access, trust and influence over young children. It stands as a stark reminder of an era that British TV will never ever return to.
On film, I'd like to kill Jimmy Savile. I think he's a hypocrite.
Weren't I right?
I bet he's into all kinds of seediness that we all know about but not allowed to talk about. I know some rumours. I bet none of this will be allowed out.
I should imagine libelous stuff will be allowed out.
Nothing I said is liable.
British children's TV from this era was wild, experimental and occasionally downright shocking. But it gave us some of the most memorable moments in broadcasting history. Which of these shows did you watch growing up? And did they secretly scare you? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to Back to the Box for more deep dives into classic TV history. And I'll see you next time.